glory of God. Creation shows its handiwork. Day after day, night after night, a message goes out to all the earth. The heavens declare your glory. The heavens declare your glory. The heavens declare your glory.
Based out of Chiang Mai, Thailand, Christian Mission to the Orient, or CMO, is strategically located to present the gospel of Jesus Christ to the peoples of Thailand, Laos, and Burma. People from neighboring countries come to this city of 1 million people for the educational, medical, and economic opportunities found here. Transportation to and from Chiang Mai is easy by rail, bus, and airplane, with daily domestic and international flights servicing cities in Southeast Asia. Recognizing the strategic value of Chiang Mai, Christian Mission to the Orient moved to this city in 1982. Our story, however, does not begin in 1982, and it does not begin in Thailand. It began in 1957, when veteran missionary Dr. Garland Baer challenged students at Ozark Bible College to go to a remote region of Thailand.
I was home on furlough from Thailand, and two young students were very interested in talking afterwards. One of them was David Philbeck, who was interested in using linguistics.
He told about a tribe, a linguistic group in northern Thailand that had never been reached for Jesus Christ. And I decided I'll be that person to do it.
So David and Dolores Philbeck accepted the call to become the first missionaries among the Luo people of northern Thailand. But it would be several more years before they were to fulfill that call. Arriving in Bangkok in 1960, David and Dolores spent a year learning the Thai language in preparation for moving to the remote northern town of Bua in Nan Province.
We left Bangkok by train and went through from 4 o'clock till 5 o'clock in the morning, and then we got off at Din Chai and went another 3 hours to Nan. And during the rainy season, we went by boat another 12 hours up to Phuoc, which was our base for the next 2 years.
Phuoc was the last market town before entering the mountain forest that formed the border between Thailand and Laos, and it was there that the Luo people made their home. The Philbecks lived in Phuoc for 2 years, learning the northern Thai dialect. David also studied the Luo language in preparation for moving to a Luo village and translating the New Testament.
He was the first foreigner that had ever learned this language. He sat in the backyard with a little tape recorder. He'd ask them in northern Thai, and they would answer in the Luo language.
As soon as I got into the Luo language, I found there were many dialects, so I had to choose one dialect to concentrate on, and so it was the model dialect of the Luo language.
In 1963, David and Dolores were ready to move their family to the Luo village of Ban Pa Nam Yoi, a 5-hour trek up the mountain from Phuoc. This was to be their home for the next 4 years. They established a small church and began gathering data for translating the Bible into the Luo language. Their goal was to live among the Luo people until completion of the translation project. Geopolitical events, however, would change all that.
By 1967, the Indo-China War spilled over into Thailand in that place, and it became very difficult to reach the people, so we decided to come to Chiang Mai. So we came up with the idea that we would open a center and bring young adults to Chiang Mai in order to study the Bible and to go ahead and get some vocational training. So we had 6 students at that time, and as far as we know, all of them are still in the Lord's work.
In addition to this early leadership training program, David became involved in helping create Christian radio programs for broadcast throughout Southeast Asia. David and Dolores lived in Chiang Mai working with radio programming and leadership training until 1974, when God called them to return to the USA to help establish Pioneer Bible Translators.
In 1982, we came back to Thailand after extended furlough, and we decided to go into training program here in Chiang Mai. We found one problem. We didn't find very many teenagers who had high school education, so we had to start our training program at a much lower level than what we had anticipated.
This school was called the Center for Biblical Studies. Although the goal was to train leaders for the growing Luot Church, CBS was open to other language groups as well. The Luot translation of the New Testament was completed in 1994, and David is now re-editing it. In 2003, CBS merged with Chiang Mai Bible Institute to become the Lana Theological Center, or LTC. LTC has been instrumental in training students from North Thailand. But that is not all. In that first year, 14 students from a neighboring country enrolled in the church leadership program.
One of the greatest joys is our students. We've seen them grow in so many ways, ways unimaginable 50 years ago. And now we have students from surrounding countries coming and going back, and what more could you ask? That they are willing to serve our Lord.
As the nation of Thailand develops into so many modern things, I think it throws back on us to adhere to that great commission of going, making disciples, teaching, baptizing.
Christian mission to the Orient began over 50 years ago with the goal of declaring God's glory among the Luot people of North Thailand. Today, CMO is declaring God's glory throughout the region. The ministry of Christian mission to the Orient continues to grow as God opens doors for new and exciting opportunities to declare His glory in Southeast Asia. Join with us in walking through these doors. Join with us in declaring God's glory to all the earth.
Day after day, night after night, a message goes out to all the earth.